Today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co. And be sure to add the Slang Self-Doubt podcast in the How Did You Hear About Podgo section of the application. You're listening to the Slang Self-Doubt podcast, where we empower women of faith to identify, acknowledge, and accept their doubts and limits and beliefs in order to give birth to their God-given purpose. Join me and sometimes some of my friends on our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I'm Felicia Wallace, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Welcome back to another episode of the Slang Self-Doubt podcast. I am here with Tyanna Shama from Tyanna Shama Coaching. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm great too. I am so glad that we were able to connect, figure out a time and do all of the things. I think that both of us have a very similar path, a very similar story, a very similar area of service. So I think I'm excited about this conversation because it's going to be really, really good when like masterminds kind of get together and they start talking about the thing that they love.
Yeah,
it is legit like, ooh, I didn't think about
area
that.
Of genius.
Yes. So for my audience that does not know you yet, can you tell them a little bit about yourself and how you got started?
Yes, so I am Tiana. I'm a 28-year-old transitional life coach from Surrey in the UK. And my story basically begins when I was really young. So I come from a family, which experienced mental health issues from the get-go. So my mum, unfortunately, really suffered. And that obviously had a ripple effect in the family. My dad actually passed away when I was really young. And so from a young age, me and my siblings, we were young carers. And then we spent a lot of time in foster care. For me, that had so many negative, effects for me. Like I just felt so unworthy. And I kind of went from a few foster homes, and I really didn't feel like I knew myself. So from a really young age, that stuck with me. That was like the thing. And also I really wanted to be normal. There's probably so many people right now like, what is normal? And I agree with you all. Like I am there. But for me, that's all I wanted. I saw my friends at school, college, whatnot, when I was growing up, saw them all going home to stable environments. So what I thought was a stable environment. And that's just what I wanted. I wanted to be normal. So I literally put everything into my schoolwork, doing well, getting the grades to be able to do what I wanted to kind of fulfill, which was when I was younger, as actually a dancer. I was obsessed. It was actually my own world, and it was the only opportunity I had to control the environment and to actually make sure that, it would go the way I wanted to, which was just smooth and just to have fun. And then I kind of got to the end of college and I was literally told by a teacher, like, you're not good enough. And I was like, okay, I'm not good enough. And I just backed away. I literally believed her. It was my passion. Like, it literally filled my heart up. But she told me that wasn't good enough. And for me, it was just like another confirmation. And it was like, okay, well, where I was living at the time, they had said, look, we're moving. And that was kind of their way. It was a foster family, and it was kind of their way of saying, look, we're moving, and now you're at the point where you need to move and do you. Like they told me I had to actually move in with my partner, which I just was not ready for. But for me, it was like, look, let's get a job, let's pay for things, let's actually do that. So I got my first office job, and that was the first time I learned that calories are not burnt in a second, because I had danced my whole life. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, this is interesting. But I carried on working literally to just pay my way through. And then I found different passions. you know, I always felt like there was this drive in me and I wanted more. I always knew what I wanted my life to be like.
Yeah.
But I was like, I have no idea how to get there, or, you know, I'm not near it now, surely. I'm just kind of beginning.
Right.
So I kind of went in to do different things. I did the Miss England pageant because I kind of wanted to be an advocate and, you know, show other kids in care that you really can do anything.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's a stigma. I definitely felt like there was like a label above my head, and, you know, people were like, she's in foster care, like constantly being taken out of the class or whatnot, whatever the situation is. So for me, it's really, really important because I had so many people that I'd known from my past that were like, don't say anything, don't tell them who we are, because, you know, I'm ashamed. And actually, we have nothing to be ashamed about.
Yeah.
So that's kind of really stuck with me, and I've just kind of continued. You know, I tried to find my passion, which is I love to travel. Absolutely love it. And for some reason, don't know, I know now it's the universe, but I didn't know then. I just applied, and I've actually worked for 2 of the UK's leading airlines, which I loved.
Oh.
I absolutely loved it. It was, you know, I think it was for me another step to finding my authentic self.
Yeah.
It was kind of expressing myself in ways that I hadn't in the past, and also being extra. Like, I have always been low-key extra, and people are like, you know, dim down, blah blah. And I was like, no, I am so extra. Like, let me wear this red lipstick and do my thing, and I need to live that advert life and just stroll and do me. And I did, and I loved it. And I felt so empowered because I was finally doing it, and I was like, yes, oh my God, this bitch. And I was like, I am this bitch.
Yes.
Like, I really did love it.
Oh no, you know what? What I love is, first of all, thank you for sharing your story. And the transparency of it all, right? Because what if you guys don't witness it, and because I can hear it as you're telling it, this is literally your journey, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times we think that it starts now, right? Whenever we say, oh, okay, I want to do something. And no, you got to go back to really pull it all together, and you'll see in some ways how the dots connect. And, you know, and I always say that, you know, everything isn't always bad. Like, there's lessons in every single situation. When you're going through it, it's trash, right? But once you get on the other side of it, and we will get on the other side of it, you take the lessons out of it, how you want to continue in that journey. And I love the fact that you chose to do something different. You chose to not be a statistic. You chose to not to allow that label to stop you. You chose to not, you know, just be a victim of, like, a lot of people, they go through stuff and they say, oh, well, it's because of this that I can't do that, right? Versus saying, like, okay, because of this may have limited me before, however, now I have to, what can I do differently, right? Because the reality is that what you said was you just wanted to be normal, right? And the reality is that even with your mom dealing with mental, that's an illness. Like, she probably wanted to be normal too, and she was doing the best that she could, you know, with what she had. And a lot of times, you know, just all these stigmas get put on. At the end of the day, I say we all suffer from mental health issues at some point in time of our lives, whether you admit it or not. We've all had extreme sadness and, you know, kind of getting stuck in a place, and you got to be able to kind of work through that. So congratulations to you off the break for just getting here, right? Like, being able to be here, like, that is absolutely amazing. So
thank you.
I'm sure during this journey, as you were really figuring out who Tyanna is and what it is that, you know, who she truly is, and showing up as her authentic self, with what you told us about, you know, your upbringing, that self-doubt has showed up. So how has self-doubt showed up in your journey?
You know, I think one of the first like real moments where it like hit me hard, my mum unfortunately passed away when I was 18.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She took her own life as a result of her mental illness. And like, for me, this is why it's so important not to be a statistic, because it actually breaks my heart when I see people doing that. And I'm like, be better, because that person, you know, that may have kind of entered you into this journey, they wanted to be better. And like, don't think for 2 seconds that this is easier, because it's not. And that's, you know, one of the many things that my mum taught me. She was an incredible woman. She was like amazing, and I miss her so much every day. And, you know, I take her strength into my work. And like,
Wow.
for me, self-doubt kind of came in from there. But then even when I was working on the airlines, you sit in these briefing rooms and have a meeting before the flight, and I'd look around and I was just comparing myself to everyone. And you know, we could have been doing anything and I would have been like, yes, you're killing it, but I need to do a little bit of work.
Yeah.
And my inner critic was going mad all the time. It was literally going off like, you're just doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. And I never once kind of stopped it. I never once took the opportunity to kind of interact with it, you know, and then kind of establish like realistic boundaries. Like, hold on, that's not true. Like, I'm killing it.
Yes.
And that was kind of partnered up by me being completely indecisive about every single thing in my life. Like, it really was. And that was because I had a lack of faith in myself. I literally doubted everything. I had kind of gone through life with low-key confirmations, what I thought were low-key confirmations, but actually were huge.
Yeah.
And you know, that kind of was inspired. Well, I say kind of, I mean, it was definitely inspired by a paranoid fear that I was wrong, that I wasn't enough.
Yeah. And that is so, that resonates with me because this is what we do, right? This is the whole, when I started this journey, I was like, well, Lord, why you want to use me? Because I'm probably the most self-doubted person that you could ever think of. Like, I could talk myself out of anything, right? And one of the things that you just said was you never confronted your inner critic, right? You never said like, no, wait, that's not right. We actually are doing the work. We actually are showing up. And we're actually doing better than most people, you know?
Yes.
Like we are killing it, you know? And I think that this is like you say, it's a journey. So we are every day, it's a daily thing of reminding ourselves that we are killing it and that we are doing the work. So when you were in that space, so I guess at what point did you and your inner critic have a come to Jesus moment and say, okay, look, sis, we not gonna keep going back and forth in these meeting rooms, and I'm gonna keep showing up. When did you say, okay, enough is enough?
So for me, I actually stopped flying, stopped being cabin crew, because I was like, I'm gonna start this life, become an estate agent and be like really rich and be like, yes, selling sunset, oh my god. No, 2 months, and I was like, bye everyone, like this has been so real, because you have to give your whole life. I salute everyone within that industry.
Like, oh wow,
oh my gosh.
In order for you to actually do it. Yeah.
Oh my god, no, I couldn't do it. I'm out. I want it all, but I don't want to do it all. Like, right. Christmas, I'm out. I'm gone.
Right.
So actually after that, I got an office job, which I thought is what I wanted, at the end of my road. Loved it. I thought I loved it. And actually it kind of came to a point where I was literally in the restroom and I kind of was staring at myself in the mirror. And I was like, this is not it. This cannot be it. Like, we have not come this far to get this far. Like, I really wanted to swear there, because that's how much I really wanted to kind of kick myself up the butt in that moment. And I was just like, this is not what we're going to do, like, at all. I'd been doing so much personal development, and I have to say, kind of, you know, this time last year, this is literally probably like an anniversary for that time for me anyway. And I really kind of gave my personal development like a serious boost.
Yeah,
and
well, happy anniversary.
Thank you. Yes, let's celebrate. But yeah, it was my personal development that helped me get there, you know, kind of moving from fitness to self-help books, self-growth books, podcasts, and really, I actually really started to work on my mind for the first time. And that's when I got into coaching and NLP for myself. And it was the NLP that blew my mind. And because I was really getting to the root cause of my self-doubt and where it came from. And I really did start to have those conversations like, okay, you want to doubt yourself? Fine. If you're going to put that much effort into it, that's fine. But I'm going to put this much effort into, you know, being counterproductive to whatever you're doing there.
Yes. No.
and that was me talking to my inner critic and, you know, my unconscious mind, and really kind of rebuilding my thoughts and who I thought I was and who I really believed I was.
Yes, yes. No, that is, I love that, right? So during this, so even with the slaying self-doubt movement and with the coaching, the very first thing I say is is that it's about you, right? This isn't about anybody else, even if other people have
Yeah.
contributed to your doubt. You're gonna have people who, like you said, that teacher told you weren't good enough. You're gonna have situations, but ultimately this is your work. Nobody else is showing up to do this, is you. That's number one. Number two is you have to identify where it's coming from, right? Like
Yeah.
just saying you have it is okay, like, but where?
Yeah.
Where is it? Where is it?
Where
So
did it
we
come
can,
from?
where
Yeah.
does it come from? When is it showing up? How does it show up? Because a lot of times for
Yeah.
me in the beginning, it didn't show up in words. It showed up in my body. Like I could feel, I just felt off. I felt
Yes.
sick. I felt dizzy. I felt sleepy.
Yeah.
I felt anxious, all of those things. And it wasn't until I actually worked with the coach that told me the same feelings that I literally could not distinct between being excited and being anxiety ridden because it was the exact same feeling. And I remember telling her, I was
Exactly
like,
the same.
I
Yeah.
have no idea. And she's like, it has to be something that is different about it. And you're going to have to figure out so that you can tell yourself, nobody, this is not anxiety, this is excitement, right? And so
Yeah.
for me it was like, okay, all the same feelings are the same except for when I'm excited I just want to smile, when I'm anxiety
Yeah.
ridden I want to cry. And so what I did was is that whatever that feeling was, if it was crying or smiling, I gave into that because everything, my stomach was still going to
Yeah.
hurt. I still was going to feel all jittery and all of that stuff. But it was like, okay, if I'm smiling, let's dance it out and let's be excited and talk about what
Yeah.
the excitement is and what are you excited about and this, that, and the third. If it's anxiety, you got to do the same thing. What are you anxious about? What is the thing that's causing you
Yeah.
this fear? What is it that, where is it coming from? Say it out loud, you
Yeah.
know?
And process the shit out of it as
Yes,
well. Like,
yes,
really do.
yes. You have to, that is
Yes.
what you have to do in order to get to a place of like, is this realistic? Right? Because a lot of times our doubts and our fears and our limiting beliefs are, it's exaggerated. It's not as
Completely.
big as what we think it is. It
Yeah.
literally is like, I'm applying to this job and I don't know if I'm going to get it. Anxiety will take you down. Like, then I'm going to, I'm not going to have any money in the bank. I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. I'm going to get put out of
Yeah.
my house and I'm going to be
For
homeless. And then you'd be
sure.
like, what the crap? Like, no, apply to another job if you don't get
Yeah.
this. But you just let your mind kind of
You
go. And
do.
it's crazy. So yeah, that this is definitely and I'm proud of you, especially for, again, for acknowledging in this moment, like, oh, it's been a year, because that's another thing we do, right? When we're kind of in this self-doubt and this space, is that we don't acknowledge the positive things that
Yeah.
happen, which also hinder us, because then we feel like it didn't happen, right? And so
Yeah.
when you're able to look
Completely.
back and say, oh, a year ago I was in a completely different place and I did the work for myself.
Yeah.
Congratulations, girl.
Yeah. And that's something that I've actually been working on so much lately, is actually celebrating myself and my
Yes.
wins, and actually saying, yes, you've done that. And do you know what? Even if it's singing a song, singing my favorite song, dancing around. This morning, I literally performed, like, I would say to a very high standard, to the whole of Mamma Mia 2 soundtrack, the whole of it. And I
All
have
of
no
it.
regrets. Maybe one or two songs are left out, but I tried to do my best.
But that is, and the thing about it is that it brings you joy afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Like you just are in a different headspace, and all of
Yeah.
that nervous energy and all of that, it's the energy shift to just put it
Yeah.
in, putting things into perspective. Even if you have to go down the anxiety road and you're like, once you go, that your energy shifts because you're no
Yeah.
longer worrying, you're actually in the present saying, what is it that I'm actually worried about? And then
Yeah.
once your brain kind of like catches up to, or your emotions catch up to your brain, or whichever way it goes, you're able to kind of be like, okay, I can do that. Right?
Yeah,
You breathe.
literally.
You literally like,
Literally.
you're breathing. So yeah, this
you know what they say, like what you resist persists.
Yes.
And it's like you have to process it. And I was actually talking to my cousin the other day about this, about the aspects of toxic positivity in self-growth. And you're in my journey anyway, we were talking about that. And it's, you know, I said to her, you have to process it and feel every emotion and understand it, and actually show gratitude towards that emotion, because it's there for a reason.
Yes.
And it's, if you look into it, it's probably there because it wants to protect and love you.
Yeah.
And it's just getting to that other point where you've processed it, and then you say, okay, I get you, I love you, your intention, and I respect you, but I've got this.
Yes.
Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I've got it.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's really, really good. So what have you learned about yourself during this journey that you didn't know before?
I've learned, do you know, my authentic magic, it just literally hypes me up in so many ways. I've learned that in my own way, I'm a rock star. I've learned that nobody can hold me back. I've learned that I am a seriously empowered woman. For a long time, I would refer to myself as a girl when I wasn't. And I learned to stay in my own lane.
Yes.
I learned that comparison is not my friend. And actually, it's kind of through really working on my own story, you know, my own pains, that I have so much respect for everyone else's, because I'm like, I seriously salute you for where you are and how you can smile right now, or how you can be sad or anything, because you are a rock star. And I get so much from cheering someone else on. Like, I just love to see your success, and that just gives me life. So for me, it's really embracing the magic of your authenticity as well as mine, and being and knowing that actually, by you succeeding, your ripple effect is creating so much abundance and joy for this world. How can I not celebrate that?
Yes.
So it's put me in a place of gratitude every day. It's my goal to really lead with love. You know, I try and look at everyone as an extension of myself. And actually, if I'm going to be shitty towards you, what's that saying about me? Because it's not really saying that much about you. I have no idea what's going on in your life.
Right.
So it's really, you know, humbling myself and actually having the conversation with my ego and telling it to fuck off when it needs to fuck off.
Yes. No, and you know what? Even as you were talking, I could see that your face was like lighting up. You know, like there is something about when you hit that like that point of like, man, like I really am doing good, right? Like there's and I do lots of interviews where people say like I'm good, and it's like I know what that feeling is. Everything isn't perfect. Like we're not saying perfect, right? But we spend so much time in worrying and wondering about the unknown, and even within this last year of being in like the abyss of the unknown, you know, with this whole pandemic, it's like, what can I take from those things to still be good, right? Like to still be myself, to still be my whole self, to still show up authentically, to still pour into other people, to still receive love. Like all of those things have to work in order for us to be able to be our authentic selves, right? And so to see like your joy came through the screen, and y'all can't see her face, but I can. But your joy came through the screen, and I'm like, I can tell she's happy. I can tell that she has joy. She's at peace. Like she's in a good place, you know. And the wonderful thing about having that is that we're not saying that things won't get bad and you won't go through, because again, I tell you all the time, self-doubt is a journey, right? And so but these are the moments that you can look back on and be like, but I have been good, and I can hold on to that feeling and just continue to go, so that when self-doubt shows up, you can say, not today.
Not today. Yeah, and that takes patience. You know, you have to surrender to it, and you really have to kind of work on yourself, but just accept that this is, I say this lightly, this is how things are, but this is not how they are. As in your situation, it can. Oh God. I'm sorry, I just got so into it. I've literally just made a blooming hurricane in here. Sorry.
That's okay.
But you have to surrender to the universal timing and know that actually, you know, the work you're putting in on yourself, it's all leading up to something. You don't just jump up a huge flight of steps, you take every single step.
Yeah.
And it's the same with your personal journey, you know, your personal growth journey and your self-doubt journey.
Mm-hmm.
I literally spent Monday afternoon crying and not in like a, yes, I'm so happy, this is amazing way. I cried like ugly tears.
Yes.
And I let myself do it because it's what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, my eyelashes needed a good clean and I did that. And I don't feel bad for it. I actually felt more empowered after because I was like, do you know what? I have so much clarity from doing that. And just from feeling those emotions that clearly my body, my mind needed to feel.
Yeah. And I my pastor actually talks about that in a sermon once about like tears and like how therapeutic they are because it releases certain hormones or like toxins or whatever stuff that's in your body. And so sometimes when you have that good ugly cry, it is exactly what your body needs, right? And so for me, sometimes I even tell my kids, because I have boys and you know, we have this, and I did a podcast on this, like, you know, I dislike when people say stop crying like a girl, right? And I'd be like,
oh my goodness,
we're people have feelings, and if you have to cry, you know, do that. And so we were having this conversation and my son was like, I could tell he was like really, really upset, but he was trying to hold it back. And I just had to tell him to stop. I said, let it out. Whatever it is that you're feeling, like you're not in trouble. We're just having a conversation. He's like, I'm not trying to cry. I said, but your body needs to release it. So just release. And so once he did it, he was just like, okay. And then he was able to kind of talk through it. And then eventually it came up that just in that moment, he was frustrated with himself. And then I think, you know, we added something else onto it. And so then he was like he was in his head, right? And so then he's just like, and I was just like, but all you had to do was open your mouth. And I was like, and it's okay. And sometimes those emotions come up. And one of the things I've learned is that for a very long time as a woman, I would go cry in the bathroom or go cry in the closet. And now I'm like, no, if I'm sad, I'm going to be sad in front of all, so that you can see that I'm human, because that's what we do, you know, and I can tell you, I'm crying because I'm happy, or I'm crying because I'm frustrated, or because I really want this to work and it's not working, you know?
No, definitely. And I feel like I'm getting a message right now from the universe to thank you, because I feel like it's people like you that are raising, you know, strong men. And I feel like showing your emotion makes you stronger, guys. Like it really does.
It does.
You do not gain any strength by sweeping things under the carpet or, you know, bottling them up. You're literally suppressing who you are. You need to be you. And to kind of reach that level of authenticity and empowerment, you have to feel these emotions. And I'm just so thankful that you're leading your sons, you know, into a life where they're not kind of suppressed or limited in their emotions. I just think that's amazing.
Well, thank you so much. I'm trying every day. I try to tell them, you know,
I love that.
It's the difference between suppressing your emotions and managing them, right? Like I'm like, you do have to manage your emotions. Like I don't want you crying over a video game and having the same breakdown as being like something serious happened, because I can't tell the difference, right? Like, and then that means you're too emotionally attached to this video game, which is a problem. So I'm like, no, wait a minute. If you care about it as much as you care about me, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. But I want you to be able to feel whatever it is you feel, because it's real. It's not going to go away. And just like you said, if you feel it as a child, you're going to feel it as an adult. And so what do you do with those emotions?
Exactly. And hopefully you'll get to that point when, you know, the video game is bugging you and you're like, okay, it's annoying, but it's not the end of the world. So you actually become able to manage it.
And some of that comes with age, right? Because when they were doing it, they were younger, but now it's just like, I'm just frustrated with the game. They put it down, they just go walk away and do something else. That's the right way to handle that. But when you are disappointed because you failed a test, or because you tried really hard at, you know, getting your driver's license or something like that, and it does, like, that's disappointment. It's okay. Like, I mean, I know how I felt when I failed my learner's test about 5 times. It was just like, I just am not gonna get it. And it's frustrating because you don't win at everything, right? So that we just went off on a tangent, y'all. But that's a message for somebody. Like, tell it's okay to cry. It's okay to have your emotions. It's okay to process them. That's what you have to do, is to literally go do the work. Like, literally just do the work.
Do the work,
Let us talk about all things Tyanna Shama coaching. Like, what is it that you offer? How did you, like, okay, so I know you were doing the personal work and you're doing personal development. At what point did you say, you know what, I need to help other people who are going through this same thing? I need to help other people learn that they're rock stars. Like,
so it was when I found coaching, and I was actually made redundant from my job, the office job at the end of the road. I found myself staring myself in the mirror on my lunch break, just miserable with my mediocre life. And it's what I actually describe. It sounds so dramatic.
Not mediocre.
That's honestly what I felt. I felt like I was the star in what's that film? Pleasantville, you know, the beginning when it's all grey.
Yes.
I was Reese Witherspoon's living my not so best life.
Oh, wow.
But basically I got made redundant because of Corona, and I was literally faced with, do I get another job? I need money, obviously, you know, my financial obligations need to be paid. But actually what makes me happy, and I just didn't think I had a choice. I just took the step. I invested in myself more than I ever had, which was so scary.
Always.
But I was like, do you know what? You can do this. I just know I can do it. And I took a couple coaching classes, and you know, you start kind of practicing. And I started coaching, obviously not just straight away, guys, don't worry. But I started coaching, and, you know, when you have these breakthroughs with people, I wasn't charging at the time, and I was just kind of coaching these people, men and women. And one guy that I worked with, I'll never, ever forget. And he just had this huge breakthrough where you could just see the light in his face, and he felt love for the first time, and it literally was everything to me. I was like, this is life, this is everything. And his whole face lit up, and mine did, my heart lit up. And I remember stepping outside like, this is my purpose, this is it, this is what I'm going to do. And then over time I've kind of looked into what I actually want to kind of focus on, which is empowerment, authenticity and empowerment, and self-doubt. And, you know, I absolutely love working with women. Like I said earlier, it is my ultimate goal that every woman in the world just cheers everyone on, you know, be obsessed with their success. And for me, just being able to kind of lead women from a state of uncertainty and self-doubt and disbelief, you know, I felt that way, and I felt those pains. So to be able to kind of take them through a journey of transitioning through all of the changes in their life, because it's hard, you know, you've said it, you've got to put the work in, it takes a minute, and you really have to be dedicated and dedicate yourself to yourself. So it's kind of getting to that point where my clients are like messaging me saying, you'll never guess, you know, this happened, I had this breakthrough, or this kind of light bulb came on. And I'm like, yes, to you, queen. Yes. Oh my God, love it. And honestly, it just fills my whole body up with so much love and joy. And this is my purpose. This is what I'm meant to do.
Listen, I tell people all the time, that feeling that you have right now of being able to do it. First of all, you know, if you could do it and you do it for free and it still brings you the same joy, that's your burden. That is what you're supposed to do. And when you lean into it and you really just put your all into it, you become stronger. Because the other part about this journey is that I always say that, you know, our obedience is connected to someone else somewhere, right? And so if I'm helping you as a client, I'm also helping myself, because in every person that comes to you in this coaching business, there's a piece of you, right? That you see in them and they see in you. That's the reason why they want to work with you, because they can see themselves, right? And so when you have done the work to show up as your most authentic self, that is when people take you seriously. That is when people are saying, yes, I need this person because I can see that they've gone through somewhat of the same thing I have. It's not, we
Mm-hmm.
all don't have the same story, right? But there's
Yeah.
enough of a connection to be able to say, no, I need what she has. I want to be
Yeah.
able to have that joy. I want to not be in Pleasantville, right? Like, it's
Literally
like,
find the end of the road. And it is
yes,
like, honestly, like, it doesn't even matter what your story is. The pain is subjective,
yeah,
and it's the fact that you're taking yourself from a state that doesn't serve you to a state that absolutely makes you wake up buzzing every day for
yeah,
life.
yeah.
That is the point. And the fact that I can do that is just the biggest privilege I've ever had. Like, it really is. And it's what I would happily and will happily dedicate my life to, for sure. So that was kind of
Oh,
the beginning of Tyanna Sharma coaching.
yes,
And now I am proud to say that I am now working with clients one-to-one and offering a 12-week empowerment program.
yes, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? Like, we literally went through your journey,
Yeah.
right? Like, we literally went through your journey. And again, the pieces are in alignment with like how it all got here so
Yeah.
that you can actually see that what you went through was purposeful for you to
Yeah.
be able to do your purpose, right? And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times we are wondering why why we have certain things. Why am I dealing with this? Why am I and the reason why is because it's a part of your story. It's a part of
Yeah.
your
It's a lesson that
testimony.
you are due to
Yes,
learn.
you have to learn it so that you're able to share it with the world so that
Mm-hmm.
people can see that it's possible.
Yeah.
And plenty of times we get stuck in this place of, I don't want it. I just rather, like you say, I want to be normal. I don't want these
Yeah.
things, and I've said it a few times on here that, with my issue of self-doubt, and even one of my biggest things is that, I had Bell's palsy. And so I used to literally pray them both away. Like,
Yeah.
why can't I just have a regular looking face? And why can I not be anxiety ridden and all of these things? And it wasn't until we get to the point where I'm like, oh, so that's why, right? That's the reason why I have
Yeah.
it, because that's my thing, to be able to share with somebody else, to show them that despite that, I can still have joy. I
Mm-hmm.
can still have
Yeah.
peace. I can still
Absolutely.
have clarity and be authentic and be myself and be in a place where I'm happy in the skin that I'm in, no matter what it looks
Yeah.
like to myself or
Mm-hmm.
anybody else. And that is the journey in itself. So that's amazing. Like, I'm just like, again, I'm just like filled with joy for you, because I can just see it like all over your face. I know that feeling of like, oh, I just helped somebody and they got it, and you just walk away like, I can conquer the whole world.
Yes. Yeah. Like, oh, yeah. I'm a servant to the universe. I really am.
Yes.
There's no reason why we cannot all wake up empowered and self-loving and loving, towards others. There really isn't. And I think now more than ever, we need that. We
Absolutely.
need to take care of ourselves. And I think it really does start with ourselves. Kids should, in my opinion, be taught NLP tactics straight away, exercises to really kind of understand the way their mind works, because
Yeah.
actually they would understand, that a lot of the limiting beliefs and the self-doubt that do come in really early actually don't have anything to do with them, and they've kind of being adopted from someone else.
Yeah.
That's kind of entering a different tangent sort of
No,
there,
but that is
but
that is it is so true. And you don't and again, they've heard that my audience has heard my story, that I didn't realize that I had anxiety until it showed up in my son. Now imagine being at that time, I was like in my 30s, and it was a whole moment that he was having, like literally in front of me. And I was so frustrated. Like, what the crap is wrong with
yeah.
you? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
it was like every single thing that he was doing, saying, it did not hit me until later. And I was like, that's me. I do that all the
Yeah,
time. And
it's
once
literally a reflection.
I was like, what the crap? And so then I literally had to do my own work to say, I don't think that I do
Mm.
this on a daily basis? Like, where did it come from in him? And that's what caused me literally to like be like, okay, hold up one second, because I don't want my kid to be anxious. I don't want him to have this this fear of the unknown, because that's life,
Yeah.
right? Like, life is just very unknowing. And it
Yeah.
was like, okay, through that process of like helping him through, help me. And now we literally have conversations about like, what is it this what are you afraid of? What is it that is, making you feel this type of way? And both of my sons will just be like, well, it's because of this. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the worst that can happen? Yeah. And, generally they be like, I mean, nothing. Okay. If it's nothing, then what are you worried about? Like, like what's the worst thing I could say? What's the worst thing? Like, let's just be honest. And once I'm teaching them now, process those emotions, because you do it here and not when you're out in the real world and don't nobody care about your feelings or what happens to you later. I want you to process it now, because people are people, and I don't want to have to come after nobody. So I'm trying to get you, get you right now.
Keeping yourself safe, really. Right. We see that hidden agenda. Yeah. Well, the intentions with love and is good. So
yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, and thank you for coming on. Like, this is such a great conversation, and I like these interviews, like between coaching and podcasting, these interviews, like I get the same feeling, right? Because what it does, even for me, is like, I was hesitant about interviewing people in the beginning, because I was just like, ain't nobody gonna come on here and tell me their story. And a year later, I'm still doing this, and still like, I want to hear it, because it empowers me to keep going. Because again, like I said, self-doubt it will continue to show up. And so when I hear other people tell their story like you, and I can see it, I'm like, it's possible. It still is possible, right? Because it's happening all over the place, and I'm not by myself. So thank you so much for sharing your story on here. Where and how can people connect with you?
So I am on social media, Instagram at Tyanna Shama Coaching, spelled a little differently than the Tiana everyone is aware of. So it's Tyanna, but it's Tyanna Shama Coaching, and you can find me online as well.
Yes, well, I will make sure I put all that.
TyannaSharmaCoaching.com.
Okay, I will put all that information in the show notes. Thank you so much, Tiana. I just wish you the absolute best. Amazing. I can definitely.
Thank you so much.
All the women that you're going. Oh, what?
I'm so sorry. I completely forgot. I also have a free ebook available called Your Life, No Doubt. And it's kind of like a beginner's step. If you're at the journey, if you're thinking about starting the journey and you're a little bit lost, this is literally the guide you need. So get on my website and download Your Life, No Doubt.
Oh, yes. Okay. We would definitely be putting that in the show notes as well. Thank you so much again. And what I was going to say is that I am every woman that you are going to impact. I know that they're going to do great things, because this is literally your purpose. It is what you were meant to do. And even in this moment, you have impacted me. So thank you for continuing to be obedient and just walk in your purpose.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This is amazing. And I am such a big fan of your podcast. So I'm just such a huge fangirl, and I just love the work you're doing.
Thank you so much. All right, y'all, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review. Remember to head over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at Slaying Self-Doubt. Oh, wait, don't forget, go to my YouTube channel and watch this episode, and remember to press the subscribe button. Until next week, see ya.